Hello, I'm Ruth, and welcome back to This Is How We Roll. The title of this episode is Dismissive Comments. My hope for this episode is that those with disabilities will have a better tool set for dealing with dismissive comments, and those who do not have a disability will better understand what a dismissive comment is and why they are offensive, even if the comment was not intended to be. I can't tell you the number of times I've had to deal with dismissive comments. There's been a number of times when I've been out with family or friends and people will ask them what my name is instead of asking me. There's been a number of times where someone has asked my friends or family what my plans are instead of asking me directly. If you have a disability, I'm sure all of this is very familiar to you. What is a dismissive comment? For the purpose of this video, I'm defining a dismissive comment as any time someone speaks about a person as if they're not there when they're clearly in the room or within earshot of the conversation. So, how to deal with dismissive comments? The first time someone makes a dismissive comment, such as asking someone you are with what your name is, you can either answer for yourself or you can make a playful statement to draw the person's attention to their mistake. For example, saying something like, "I have a mouth." When you are making this kind of comment, make sure that your voice inflection is light and playful. On the first offense, it's really important not to go for the jugular. As frustrating as it can be, a person may make the mistake of making a dismissive comment because they have never come into contact with someone with a disability. On the second offense, I would say the best thing you can do is answer for yourself, even when the question was about you and not directed to you. On the third offense, I would suggest making a comment with a bit more of a frustrated tone of voice. For example, saying something like, "Hello, do you see me here?" On the fourth offense, I would say the best thing you can do is disengage from trying to have a conversation with that person. I can't think of too many examples of why it would need to get to the fourth offense before you stopped trying to converse with the individual. However, I have been put in some group project situations at school where this has become an issue. I've also been in some situations where I've simply been trying to help an individual have a breakthrough about those with disabilities. When dealing with an individual who has made one or two dismissive comments, try not to get angry. Try your best to understand why those comments may have arisen. I would say probably the most common reason why these kind of comments come up is because that individual has not had much exposure to those with disabilities and therefore make wild assumptions about them unintentionally. It is unlikely that someone is making dismissive comments purely to try and hurt your feelings or belittle you, especially if they've only done it once or twice. I'm not saying that there are not people who would make these kinds of comments in order to be mean, because there are. That's why you may have to choose to disengage with the conversation. However, it still stands true that it is far more likely that the hurtful comments are products of lack of understanding. So try and understand where those people are coming from. Things to keep in mind when addressing a disabled person. It's always best to assume that the person you are about to address is fully cognitively functioning. Even if you are addressing someone who you know has a mental delay, it is always best to address them directly first. Then if you ask them something they cannot answer or tell them something that they cannot understand, the person they are with will tell you that. Always keep in mind the fact that you don't truly know what someone's disability is until you ask them, so it's always best to assume that they can converse with you unless you have been told that the individual is nonverbal and cannot communicate with you through other means. Also bear in mind that disabilities manifest themselves in many different ways. Just because someone is physically disabled does not mean that they have a mental delay. Just because someone has a mental delay does not mean that they are physically disabled. It can be one of the two, or sometimes even both. The bottom line is you never truly know someone's disability unless you ask them or you have found out through other means. So always assume that the disabled person is able to converse with you just like anyone else, unless you know for a fact that that person cannot communicate with you in any way. Also, if you have made a dismissive comment, the best thing you can do is apologize when the person you're talking to starts to react. It really means a lot to someone who's disabled when they get an apology for being overlooked or underestimated. That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching, and until next time, remember we're all different, so just roll with it.